few calls to make at the hospital, dear, then I'll meet you at the train.
Aren't you going to the office?
Not today.
Why, William?
Today's supposed to be a holiday. I told the girls at the office to call me if they need me.
Hello. Oh, yes, ma'am. I'll call him right away. Dr. Barton, it's for you again. Yoo-hoo. Anybody home?
Good morning, Jean. We didn't expect you so early. And what lovely flowers.
That's for my favorite boyfriend. This is the day, isn't it?
As if you didn't know.
I thought they'd look nice on the table. Oh, good morning, Doctor.
Good morning.
Isn't this a perfect day for the big event?
I thought it was going to be until that phone started ringing.
William, you don't mean to say that you can't go to the train with me?
Oh, no, I'll be there. That was Mrs. Van Cortlandt calling again. If she had her way, I wouldn't get there.
I hope you weren't rude.
She seems to think the world must stand still when she gets a stomachache. I told her to take some bicarbonate of soda. I was going to the station to meet my son.
But, William, you shouldn't be so gruff.
It's the only way to handle them.
You know, Dr. Barkley, I think you're just as excited about Bill's coming home as we are.
Oh.
I can hardly wait. See you at the depot. Aren't they beautiful?
You know, I can hardly wait myself.
Oh.
Home again, Mother. I wonder if you realize what it means to see your own home after being away all these years.
Bill!
Come on, Mother. You had your chance at the station. It's her turn now.
Uh-oh. Miss Barkley's made us another lemon pie.
What do you mean, us? You ain't no getting on this lemon pie. Miss Barkley made it special for Captain Bill. He's coming home today.
Well, there's only 3 of them, and you don't like lemon pie, so that leaves me my regular piece.
Yeah, but you forgetting about Miss Jean. She's gonna be here for dinner tonight. That just naturally leaves you out.
But if you cut the pieces smaller, we can all have some. You know how I like lemon pie.
Oh, stop talking, boy. Run on. I got a lot of work to do. Miss Barkley's very particular. We're gonna have extra special dinner tonight.
Well, my stomach's sure not gonna like that.
Very clever.
More coffee, Mr. Bill?
Oh, I guess I will. That's the best coffee I've had in years.
That lemon pie was perfect.
You know, Mother, I've been waiting for a piece of that lemon pie for 3 years. I've thought about it and even dreamed about it. Just sitting like this with all of you. Sure was a wonderful dream. Now that I'm here, it's more than that.
I know, Bill. I guess all of us have had dreams of our own.
Well, it's time we were going.
Well, William, must you go this evening?
Of course. I have to be at the hospital in the morning.
You'd like to have us good tonight?
But Bill and Jean are going out for the evening.
Oh, it's all right. We have time. The party doesn't start until 10 o'clock. Bill and I can go in my car, and then we can leave from the office.
Now, look, I don't know what this is all about. But as long as Dad wants us to go to the office tonight, I know he has a reason, and it must be important.
Now, you're talking, son. Let's be on our way. Well, that's it.
Dad,
Come on, let's go inside.
Why, William, I didn't know you'd had the offices redecorated.
I wanted to surprise you. I couldn't ask Bill to come in here with all that old stuff I had around. Well, here you are, Bill. All ready for you to go to work.
Isn't it wonderful, darling?
thought of everything, Dad.
Well, you're going to need them, at least part of the time. But you'll find many of our women patients can be helped with a pleasant smile and a little sympathy.
Oh, William, you talk like a quack. You know very well your father's only exaggerating.
I know, Mother, and he doesn't fool me either. I only hope that I can be as good a doctor as Dad is when I reach his age.
You will be. And I'll tell you something else. As soon as I can, I'm going to take your mother on that vacation I promised her for the last 4 years.
You know what all this means to me, Dad? Your confidence in me, most of all. You're wanting me to be with you. Sort of makes it tough for me to say what I've got on my mind.
I know what you mean, Bill, and you don't have to thank me. I've been planning this thing for years.
I do, thanks, Dad. But that's not what I have to say.
What do you mean, Bill?
I can't go in with Dad. I'm going back to the Orient as a missionary doctor.
Missionary doctor?
Why, Bill?
Ever since I made my decision, I've been wondering how I could tell you about it. Dad, do you remember the grace you said at dinner tonight?
Yes? What about it?
And make us ever mindful of the needs of others? That's it, Dad. That's why I'm going back.
You still don't know what you're doing.
Believe me, Dad, I've thought it all out, and I do know what I'm doing. This is the reason why. The barrage opened in the black of night. I'll never forget the roar of the cannon and the flash of fire from the big guns. When the morning came, we were moving in on small boats, hundreds of them. Everything proceeded according to plan. It was a grim and serious business, this job of making war on a gigantic scale. Many of the men had to wade in. They were perfect targets for the enemy. But our big guns had driven the foe back from the shore. The advance was faster than we'd planned. We were assigned to an amphibious team and followed the first wave into the beach. Word came back that the enemy had retreated to higher ground and we were to enter the village and set up a base. Our planes and guns had done a thorough job of clearing a path. We'd come ashore close to a village, but it was deserted. The natives had been warned and fled to the hills. The place reminded me of those ghost towns I'd seen out west. We were going up the street when suddenly we both heard the cry of a baby. We stopped, looked in the window. The mother had apparently lost her life in trying to shield the child. Now we found ourselves with a new responsibility. The sergeant said it was too bad he wasn't killed. What chance does a kid like this have to look forward to? No family, no home, no food. And if somebody doesn't do something about it, no future. He's better off dead. We were finding out that when this war is over, our responsibility would just begin. Soon the people would be coming back from the hills, sick and wounded, with no one to help them. Here was a mission school. Yesterday, a place where children were learning to be better citizens. Today, empty and deserted. Apparently, they'd evacuated in a hurry, for the books and papers and pencils were just the way the children had left them. Except for the wreckage, it looked as though they had just gone out for recess. For a moment, I forgot where I was. Then the familiar voice of Sergeant Wayne said, "It looked all over, and this was the best place in the village for our base." I remember at the time thinking how quickly things can change. One day, a room full of youngsters learning about God and country, about brotherly love and kindness. Then, a few days later, the same room is filled with men who are giving their lives that these children can go on learning. Yes, Dad, things happen inside a man under such conditions. I just can't explain it. But somehow I had a feeling of responsibility, a feeling that here was a place where I could do a real service. There wasn't anything definite, but apparently an idea was forming in the back of my mind. After the fighting stopped, I was all over the Orient. China, Japan, the islands. Every place I went, conditions were the same. Dad, there are diseases caused by this war which you've never seen in all your 30 years' practice. Little children with horrible skin infections caused by lack of food. There are boys and girls so emaciated that they look like old men and old women. Here at home, children of that age are just getting ready for their first party. I've seen babies hardly weaned with nerves so shocked by the blast of exploding shells that their minds are blank and have no control of their arms and legs. And the almost indescribable filth, Dad, which was left when war passed on. No sewerage disposal. Water supplies contaminated. Children with no homes and no parents eating garbage in the streets. If it were not for the medical corps, every type of epidemic disease would be raging today. What will happen when the army leaves? There isn't much that can be done for the old men and women. It's too late for that. But how about the babies, the boys and girls? Only medical skill can give them a chance. Dad, can't you see that I've got to go back? You know I want to stay here with you and Mother and Jean, but I've got to live with myself, too. I can't say I'm giving up too much, let someone else go. Dad, you called me a missionary. Well, I am a missionary. I believe that healing men's bodies is a first step in healing men's souls. And, well, I guess that's all. That's why I'm going back. I hope, Dad, that you can see it the way I do.
Well, it's not an easy thing to do. Come, Mother. It's getting late.
Bill, your father's terribly disturbed. Give him time to think it over.
I knew you'd understand, Mother.
Bill, why didn't you tell me?
Jean, darling, I guess mainly because I didn't make my mind up until I was on the boat coming home. I knew it'd mean a big sacrifice on your part. I hope that you'd understand.
I'm just as surprised as your father. Naturally, I thought we should live here. We talked about it before you went away. Now, all of a sudden, I find my plans have changed.
It is short notice, but I hoped after you heard this story that you'd understand the reason for my decision.
I do, Bill. But what about us?
It's not going to be easy, Jean. Life will be very different. We'll have to depend on ourselves for companionship. Then there might be long periods of time when we'd be alone. Rain, insects, lonesomeness. You'd have to consider them all before you made your decision.
But I've already made my decision.
Yes?
I'm going with you. Wherever you go.
I haven't very much time, Jean. I'll get my discharge on the 22nd. We could be married on the following Thursday. Then we'd have only a short time before I must leave.
Married?
Yes, you want to marry me, don't you?
Oh, of course, silly, but it's such short notice. My clothes, how can I ever get ready?
Now, look here, young lady. If you're going to be the wife of a medical missionary, you're going to have to learn to travel light and move fast. So you might as well start now.
I sure can't imagine Mr. Bill being married, but he done got himself a fine woman.
It's been 2 weeks now. I'll be glad to see them when they get back.
But we are back.
Bill, I didn't know. Why didn't you let me know? I had intended something special, and the house isn't clean.
We came back sooner than expected because, well, we want to spend a couple of days with my mother and Dad.
Speaking of Dad's, where's Father?
Well, he's at the office.
But this is his day off. I thought I'd find him home.
Well, he's been working very hard. He doesn't say very much, but I'm a little bit worried about him.
I'd like to talk to you about it.
If you'll excuse me, I'll go upstairs and unpack.
Does Dad feel any differently about my going? Does he still resent it?
Well, it was a pretty hard blow to his plans. He had been counting on this for a long time. And you know, Bill, when you get older, you don't readjust yourself as rapidly as young folks do. He hasn't said much since you left, but I know it's constantly on his mind.
That's what I was afraid of. I just can't go and leave Dad feeling the way he does. What can we do about it?
Oh, I wish I knew. He usually talks such things over with me. But in this case, he's avoided the subject for some reason or other.
Supposing we all go down to the office and surprise him.
Maybe that's a good idea.
Come on, Jean. We're going down to the office to see Dad.
Hello, Dad.
When did you get back?
This morning,
Have a good trip?
Wonderful.
When do you plan on leaving?
the middle of next week.
Hmm.
Dad, I don't want to go with you feeling the way you do. I wish you could see it my way.
Look here, son. I've been practicing in this town for 30 years. All the time you were at medical school, I looked forward to the day you could take on some of my responsibilities. Now those plans are impossible. You're going away.
I can see your side, Dad. I wish we could get together.
Come here. I want to show you something.
What is it, Dad? What's it all about?
This is a sterilizer. That contains surgical instruments. And this your library.
Sending them back already?
Well, William, you might have at least waited until Bill had gone.
Well, if I don't pack them, how are they going to get on the boat?
Well, what boat are you talking about?
Bill's boat, of course. The one going to the Philippines.
Why, you old bear. What do you mean by keeping us in suspense?
So this is what you've been doing the last few evenings.
You win, Dad.
Well, if it's half as tough out there as you say it is, you're going to need all the medical supplies you can get. And if it's going on the same boat with you, it won't pack itself.
That's all I wanted to know.
William, you made your speech of the day. Let's go home and celebrate.
Now, Mother, you know I've always wanted to go to the Orient. Now that we have a good excuse, when Jean and Bill get settled out there, I think we should go out and give them a hand. Come on, Mother.